Hi, I'm Rigger. This is You're Right, and today let's talk about the bad guy winning, sort of. But before that though, be sure to like the video if you like it, share the video if anything else would like it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want to see more. I feel like I'm saying it too fast to even, say the words, but whatever, we'll keep going. So, it's time we had a really long look at everything going on here with Ruby and Cinder. Their rivalry and confrontation has been built for a very long time. In Volume 2, Cinder is the new big bad, but clearly she's biding her time and plotting stuff. Then at the end of Volume 3, she gets her maiden powers fully, kills Pyrrha, changes everything, but gets blindsided by the Silver Eyes. Blindsided. Literally. But from that on, she's had a long build to hating Ruby. She lost an eye and an arm, she's become what she is now, and she's very unhappy about a lot of this. However, Cinder is under orders not to kill Ruby. Then, because of that, you have this Neo deal, and clearly Neo is more dedicated to the cause for the moment because there's a whole lot of other problems facing Cinder right now, stemming from her wanting Penny's powers to avoiding the Wrath of Salem with the relic and everything when she comes back. It's fair that these are immediate problems that are occupying Cinder's mind. But thinking over the plot as a whole, we're at Volume 8 now, and Cinder and Ruby have never had a fight. You see, I thought about this, and initially my brain went, yeah, that makes sense, we build through the whole show to one big climactic battle where Ruby finally beats her. But then I realized, hey, that kinda sucks. Factoring in everything that's happened, you realize Ruby has never lost to Cinder, really. Cinder has killed a friend in front of her directly, a friend who Ruby almost had basically no on-screen interaction with, but never mind that. We went over it a bit later with her speech, I guess. She was behind the death of another one of her friends, but that friend is back now. She beat Jean in a fight, but okay. And she almost killed Weiss, which, yeah, that kinda sucks. And that's kinda it. Ruby has been blessed with Cinder's hard counter, Silver Eyes. So, their interactions have boiled down to, I'ma kill your friend, oh wait, it burns, and then run away. So, if you're building to an eventual fight, it's kind of weak. Yes, Cinder is behind a lot of things, and the deaths of those around her and her mentally and emotionally suffering because of it does suck, and it's all part of Ruby's growth as a character. But basically, we're still on a trajectory to build to a series-level climax with an eventual encounter that we've been building up and promised since the beginning of Volume 4, and as it stands right now, Ruby will just easily win. Pair that with Cinder's mounting screw-ups on her other ventures, and it's really making the impact of Cinder's character less and less relevant. See, Cinder has a lot of power as a maiden, but she only really gets to show it and flex it against other top-level characters, like the duo of Winter and Penny, or the maiden-powered Penny, or the maiden-powered Raven, who is also a top-tier fighter. Otherwise, she'd kill everyone she faces. But we never get reminded of that, because now she just fights powerful people. Cinder is only paired with people difficult for her to kill, so she can't get more points on the scoreboard and build her death tally. Outside of that, when she might try and face someone weaker, Ruby just makes her run away. This has led me to conclude that at some point, hopefully soon, Cinder needs to completely stomp Ruby. Not a little bit, not give her some ouchies, but completely wreck her to within an inch of her life. And personally. Not help from others, not a little bit, no. Cinder destroys Ruby. One-on-one. Let me explain. You could say, if you wanted someone to duel Ruby, if that's what you're looking for, we have Neo who is out for her head. Yeah, true. But that's not the rivalry that's been built up this whole show. Plus, on top of that, people have wanted Neo to realize that it really is kind of Cinder's fault, and that's sort of not the way things happened, and it's not really Ruby's fault, etc., for a while now. So, if Neo completely wrecked Ruby, it wouldn't really be that satisfying because you know that or at least you feel like the motivations behind it aren't as justified, you want the turn. But yeah, more concerningly, Neo hasn't been built to be the rival boss of this game for this whole plot. Cinder has. She's not the big bad, but she is Ruby's counterpart. She's the protagonist bad guy. She's the one with the journey and the one we experience the bad guy's side of events through. She's Dark Ruby. She needs to have a stronger presence as her opposite. But also, I'll address that, yeah, there are going to be people who say, in response to that John is really the one who should be building to take down Cinder, and Ruby's going after Salem, ultimately, especially with all the stuff about her mom. Not to mention that Salem is the big bad guy, and Ruby is the big hero, right? That's how the things line up. And yeah, you're not wrong. And John has been beaten by Cinder, and literally stomped. Kind of. He wasn't, hurt or anything, but it did put his failings in front of him. And it almost got Weiss killed, and that struggle unlocked Jean's semblance and helped him grow. All of this is not wrong. I agree. Jean is the shadow protagonist, the one also on a hero's journey from being the underdog to finally getting his revenge and his growth and his journey to be the hero he always wanted to be. He is literally on his hero's journey, and I think Jean should be the one to take off Cinder's head. But he should not do it alone, not one-on-one. No one should. In fact, that's the lesson of this. Pyrrha can't beat Cinder alone. The only one who can stand to Cinder alone is other maidens who are already top-tier fighters like Penny and Raven. And, as I've discussed a lot, Cinder should get even more powerful. She absolutely will get at least a double maiden power, if not more, before the end of this to make her entire drive and her journey relevant at all. So, you have someone like Cinder, who can beat basically anyone one-on-one except for other maidens who've already been very powerful people, or double teams of very strong fighters on their own, or the big bad. And if you want to get technical, yeah, I guess Oz might be able to beat her with a blast from that cane, probably. It's got probably enough power in it if he absolutely had to. But that's technicality of power levels, not storytelling, and you all know what I'm talking about, so we'll breeze past it. Like I'm saying, no one can really duel her, especially in like our main cast, and she should only get even more powerful. But the problem as it stands is it feels like Ruby can. She can't, but for a good reason we haven't really seen it outwardly expressed on screen. We've had it set up, but not its payoff, and that's the fact that Ruby can't just access her silver eyes at will. She's getting better at it, but when she tries to use them on command, it still fails, except when she has all the time in the world to think about it or her friends are in immediate danger. Just like with Freya, Penny is right there, Winter is down right there, so blammo, silver eyes. And with the Hound, Penny is down right there and her friends are with her and also in danger, and the Sneeze and other people are right there about to get hurt, so yes, she can summon the power of her eyes. She is getting a lot better at summoning them at will, but just like the end of Volume 6, if she doesn't have this extra time to think about it, she can't just do it when she wants to, yet. So we need to take advantage of that right now before the series continues too much further and you want to progress her use of Silver Eyes much further. Because, in a way, Ruby needing her friends around her to use her eyes is a good lesson. And it might not technically be true, but it's a good message. It's sort of the point of the show and what we're building to, that you can't do these things alone. The answer is working together. But to show that, we should also have Ruby take on Cinder alone and show what happens. She needs her friends around to help her use her powers. Not the powers need that to work, because Maria's shown that's not technically true, but for right now, Ruby needs it. It's true for her. Ruby hasn't totally gotten there yet. So for now, it fits the themes of the entire show. Not to mention, in that situation, it's going to be very hard for Ruby to access that emotional state, to think about protecting people. Now, it might be on her mind that if I take down Cinder, then I will protect everyone, but that's not the mindset you have to go in with. It has to be, I want to protect everyone, not I want to destroy this thing. So we have the correct emotional setup to also justify this showdown, and why her silver eyes aren't just immediately triggering. Not to mention, by the way, it would actually be really nice to see Ruby furious, possibly getting murderous, like, I'll kill you. We've never really seen that. We've seen Ruby say she's getting angry, and then we cut away from that fight. So it would be an interesting take to see Ruby in that light, just something new. But the other thing that's relevant here is that we know Ruby is good, but she's not great. She's not the best one-on-one fighter. She's pretty good at killing Grimm, but she's not a duelist, and she doesn't really have to be. That's part of the whole base of the show. It's Team Ruby. It's working together. It's her friends, it's her connections and bonds with each other that are the answer to the problems. That's how they present beating the Aesops even. That's how they present the answer to stopping Salem and saving the world. Together. That means you have the perfect opportunity to capitalize here, if what happens is she is alone. Not by illustrating it with hurting those around her, with Cinder killing her friends. We've seen that, and we'll surely see it again. But this is different, entirely, because it's happening to her. To Ruby. It's actually quite a necessary step to completely wreck your hero. She may be the central spark of hope in the story, but that makes it more real, more crushing and more difficult to be physically destroyed. She's been emotionally wrecked before, and that pain will always be there and can always happen again. But she's yet to experience the raw moment of having her arm broken, being knocked away helplessly, her attacks doing nothing, or facing her own mortality at the hands of someone she cannot beat. She almost had that. I mean, Tyrion wrapped her up pretty good and threatened her, but help came and, there was others around her. She wasn't alone. And certainly that was a long time ago, and it was never a moment we ever lingered on. She didn't think about it or didn't come back at all. All of this may sound kind of dark, but it's crucial to building to eventual victory. The harder it is, the sweeter it is. We've seen Ruby's emotional struggle and how she deals with the struggles of people around her and people she cares about being torn down and taken away, but she still needs to feel helpless and beaten in the face of power. See, when you're fighting Salem, you sort of accept in the back of your head you can't win here. But there's a difference when someone is just stronger than you. They're not immortal, they are just better, more powerful. It's a personal fear. Her friends may be more important to her in her own eyes, but it's another journey on the path to face being physically broken and recovering. And while you may have faith in your team, it's a lesson when you start to lose faith in yourself. The realization you are not a match for them. It's a real psychological hurdle you have to face, and influences the flavor of any further training and development you have on your journey. The defeat is a driving force to better oneself, and therefore lead by example and continue saving everyone. As it stands now, Ruby is simply untouchable to our biggest active bad guy. While earlier it might have been seen as a little distasteful to bloody her up as a little girl in Volume 2 and 3, we've come a long way past that now. People are dying and we're trying to save the world. The time for avoiding the positive, cute little girl getting hurt is long behind us. Things have gotten real and dark. I know there's a lot of people out there who hear this and say, no, I don't want that. I don't like the bleak, oppressive tone, and the bad guys shouldn't win, stop ruining Ruby with the darkness. But that's kind of the point, because that's what you need to beat. The only way to get that satisfaction of conquering the darkness and being positive is to first experience and build the darkness with the negative. If you only paint the horizon as a flat ground, then there is no mountain to conquer. The only way to get satisfaction out of beating that darkness is to first experience and build it. So with Cinder and Ruby, what you need to do is square them off. You build to it situationally, that they wind up alone. I'm not going into the millions of ways you could do that, just pick one and do it. They're alone, and the showdown is happening. Make it feel epic. Do some speeches. It's finally happening. Cinder is evil and gloating and, I've waited so long for this, etc., etc. Ruby could be, violent and aggressive, of I'm gonna finally kill you, I'm gonna make you pay for what you did, etc. Or she could be heroic, it's time to put an end to this, I'm gonna protect my friends, whatever. You can do whatever flavor you want to do on that side. But you build to this as a real showdown. Then, before they fight, use those visual cues we've built, like the music and the camera angles when Ruby's trying to summon her eyes. But no, Cinder attacks first, right there in her face. Screaming, raging, finally she's getting her hands on Ruby, it's what she's waited for. And you build it like a good fight. Like a good wrestling match, you need the storytelling of a fight. All the little touches, like hope spots for Ruby where she starts to get the upper hand, and showing little plans, like Ruby starting to use some kind of tactic that's starting to work, and you think it's gonna win, and then, her hope spot gets cut off by the bad guy, and she gets pushed down again. You have false finishes where it seems like it's over, but no, they come back again, not just a 10-second clashing of swords, but an actual story in the fight. We know that Ruby is no slouch. Show her semblancing around, crossing weapons, and dueling. She has motivation to really fight here, not like with Harriet when she was still trying to negotiate and say we shouldn't do this. This is a real fight. This is the real deal, and Ruby has no reason to hold back. This is Ruby's chance to put an end to Cinder, to either take her in or take her down and stop her hurting people, and deal a blow to Salem. It's not a grey area, it's not something where she will hold back. So you have Ruby finally really going all out. Which actually adds to this, you show how much Ruby is seriously trying now, against a human opponent, not just Grim. Fight, fight, fight. But eventually she loses. She starts taking hits. She lands a lucky shot, and Cinder tries even harder, and Ruby takes more hits. And more. And then she stops dealing hits back. And she's lost. And Cinder starts beating her. Have Cinder say she knows she can't kill her because Salem wants her, so she's going to do everything except kill her. Then, she'll take whatever's left of her back to Salem so her suffering can just continue in her hands, and that makes Cinder really happy. Real bad guy stuff. Ruby gets to be a punching bag for a bit. If you want to, feel free to have Cinder take that Grim hand, and perhaps showing it, a bit artfully, with the shadows on the wall, lit by the dancing flames of Cinder's attacks during their fight. And she takes that hand and puts it down to Ruby's head and pulls out one of Ruby's eyes, with all the horrible screaming and shrieking that entails. You want to bring back that eye for an eye line from way back in Volume 4? Well, Cinder has helpless Ruby, might as well repay her for what she did to her. Have Cinder mock her, saying that her eyes didn't save her this time. And remember, Cinder doesn't know Salem wants Ruby for her eyes at this point, just knows she wants Ruby. So this is also Cinder screwing up a little bit. But we're not, totally ruining Ruby here by blinding her completely like Maria or anything. She still has the one eye. We'll leave it at that point. It's Cinder taking delight in hurting Ruby and equaling the playing field and getting her revenge. After that, Cinder might threaten to cut off her arm too. I mean, she doesn't need an arm to go with Salem, and then she won't be able to spin that annoying fancy scythe around anymore either. It's fair, she took Cinder's arm, and now you'll be able to match your sister. Ha 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 ha, I'm evil bad guy. Evil, evil, evil. Her blade goes up, the blade's about to swing down. Bang, 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 bang! Stuff hits Cinder all over, and the cavalry arrives. Importantly, you include Jean in there, and Yang, and more of her friends in the pack. The more the better. But the pack drive Cinder away. They all jump in and start attacking and push Cinder back. If you want to, you could illustrate the point with the eyes that they still work by having her friends engage Cinder and then Ruby gets, them in their vision and gets her remaining eye to work to a little flash and makes Cinder run away with silver eyes, but I probably wouldn't. Just have the pack fight off Cinder because she is then very outnumbered and has been through a fight. And just let her, Ruby, be saved by her friends for once. But then after this, Ruby has to recover. Luckily it's not a missing limb like Yang, it's not something that's going to stop them moving on their journey, but it's still something you have to recover from. It's not just about the eye though. The recovery is facing the fact that Cinder is far stronger than she is. She cannot beat Cinder alone, and none of them can. This will only become more oppressive and daunting when later Cinder gets more maiden powers, gets a second one. She legitimately is a powerhouse. She isn't a joke. And anyone who isn't a maiden and a top tier fighter at the same time cannot hold a candle to her in a duel. At all. We learn that for everyone, even our brightest hero, you need your friends. You can't rely on blind optimism, remember? You cannot do this alone. Even her special Silver Eyes power, she can't rely on if she's alone. It let her down. She can train and become better at using it to be more like Maria. She knows it's possible, but she also knows that no matter how good she gets with a scythe and her semblance, she can't just beat Cinder. There is no conquering it. There is no victory in strength. It's not being dark for the sake of being dark. It's building our light to fight the darkness. Ruby has to learn to still be that positive person and still be the hope for others. She faces losing hope, that crushing reality, and has to fight those feelings and still be the one to inspire. And in that future where there is a rematch, she won't be alone, as it should be. It isn't leading to an epic duel, it's showing how silly and childish and fairy tale like the idea that this can be solved with a heroic duel is. They need to be smarter, they need to work together. That's the whole point. It's made very apparent. It's great. It's that the best endings are the hardest ones to reach. This whole thing recovers a lot of threat that's been missing from Cinder. Not such a joke anymore. And it highlights for the good guys the importance of each other. They can beat Cinder, they can push her back, but not alone. Even your special power isn't enough to save you. And yeah, technically it could be, but we've seen Ruby isn't good at using it yet, so we use that as our lesson. So this time, before it's time to get any better at using Silver Eyes or whatever, do it now. Strike now while the iron is hot and you have the deniability that she isn't that good at using it yet. Not to mention, this is going to build Ruby as a character dramatically, and set her on a path to be a great hero. And in her recovery and questing of herself, it will be a great time for those around her to support her in the same way she's supported all of them. We can watch as Ruby is rebuilt by all the people she has helped build. It's going to be raw and powerful and emotional. It's going to be bonding and motivating. It could be excellent. And it still has plot, like Cinder messing up with the eye thing. You could do this without losing the eye and just have Ruby beaten up. But you could use the eye thing if you wanted to, because it's way more brutal. It leaves a permanent damage to Ruby so we never forget it, and it offers the eye thing up as plot. Cinder thinking she's done so well, and at least getting an ounce of revenge, and she'll get more later. But then Cinder gets struck by the reality is Ruby still got away. Like, Salem reminds her of this. And she didn't get her, and it was her own hubris and fault that she didn't. It was Cinder delighting in hurting her, and taking satisfaction in revenge, and taking too long that her friends arrived and saved her. And if the eye thing comes up to Salem, Salem can be furious, and we might get some insight into Salem's side of this whole Silver Eyes experiment. It's a good thing to lead into that plot. Like, why, how dare you take that eye? Huh? What do you mean? It's her greatest weapon against me, you said so yourself, so of course I took it. And, Salem gets furious, and perhaps at this point we use that as a window where she tells Cinder what she wants Ruby for. Where Salem, annoyed, explains to Cinder the importance of Silver Eyes to her, and, why all that is, and then we as the audience can see some of the background on that and answer some of those questions. It all lines up. But that's all for now. Until next time, remember, you may not like the concept of Ruby losing an eye, but hey, if you're a shipper, there is at least one consolation. If she did, every time she blinked at someone, she'd also be winking at someone. Use that how you may. Anyway, my name is Rigo. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope I did alright.